Imagine setting yourself apart from the competition because your organization is always secure, always available, and always ahead of the curve. That's NetGain Technologies, your total one source for cybersecurity, IT support, and technology planning. Picture picking up the phone and having decades of technology and cybersecurity expertise on the other end, like a bat phone, but with a team of specialists ready to make your business faster, easier, and more profitable. Since 1984, NetGain Technologies has designed, built, and implemented customized technology solutions for businesses of all kinds. They offer a clear roadmap and security plan to keep threats at bay, all at a predictable, affordable monthly cost. NetGain Technologies supports organizations across the United States, providing the benefits of a fully staffed in-house IT department and security team at a fraction of the cost. Get peace of mind. Get competitive. Get NetGain. Contact NetGain today at 844-777-6278 or reach out online at netgainit.com. That's netgainit.com and get ahead of your competition today. Ever need or want to know if your company has vulnerabilities exposed to cyber criminals and for sale right now on the dark web? Want to receive immediate notification if your email is involved in a breach or infected with an information stealer? Ever need to search for compromised corporate and supply chain infrastructure? Ever want to discover the password hygiene used by any company? Ever want to know if your employees, customers, users, and partners are compromised? Well, we will show you today is a blockbuster episode like no other. Welcome everyone to Cybercrime Junkies. I am your host, Dino Mauro. In this episode, we interview a subject matter expert in the field of malware information stealers. His name is Leonid Rosenberg, and he joins us all from Tel Aviv. Leonid is with the cybersecurity company Hudson Rock. Today, we talk about some new topics never before addressed on our show. Specifically, we show you no-cost ways how to know if your identity is stolen, how to know if you've been breached. We chat about how to protect yourself individually against info stealers, as well as how to protect against online credential theft. We walk you through shocking stories. We will also demonstrate these amazing free tools near the end. So please do us and do yourself a benefit and listen all the way through. And as always, thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being a cybercrime junkie. Small talk sucks. So let's dig right in. Come join us as we go behind the scenes of today's most notorious cybercrime. Every time we get online, we enter their world. So we provide true storytelling to raise awareness, interviewing global leaders making an impact and improving our world. Translating cybersecurity into everyday language that's practical and easy to understand. We appreciate you making this an award-winning podcast by downloading our episodes on Apple and Spotify and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and now the show. All right, well, welcome everybody to Cybercrime Junkies. I am your host, David Morrow, and in the studio today, we have a very, very special episode. Leonid Rosenberg is joining us from Hudson Rock, remoting in from Tel Aviv, and we're really honored to have him here. They are leaders in the industry of cybersecurity. He's got a fascinating story, a great, illustrious career, and we're really excited about having you here. Leonard, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, David. It's a pleasure to be here on your podcast. Thank you very much for inviting.
Oh, that's fantastic. So first, let's give everybody kind of a high-level overview of your current role, and then I want to dig in and unpeel that a little.
Yeah, so my current role, Hudson Rock, and Hudson Rock is a cybercrime intelligence company, and we do only one and single thing: we deliver the intelligence from the infected computer by the info-stealing malware. And my role at the day is to work with our clients and the people that are interested in this product to explain them on a technical level what is the info stealers. But in my free time, I'm happy to join podcasts like your podcast and speak with the wide audience in very simple language to help them understand what is the info stealer threat, what is actually is doing, and what are kind of potential, damage that it can done to you as a person or you as a company. So basically at Hudson Rock, I have two positions, one more technical and one more community oriented.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so the intelligence that you guys provide, meaning we've talked about it a lot on the show, and that is, just to do a simple analogy, like to dumb it down for people like me, right? Like, if organizations all have firewalls, right? And all of those, they need that. They have antivirus. They need that. We're not saying don't do that, but that's like having a really good front door, right? But by having the intelligence and knowing the modus operandi and seeing the way the tactics and techniques and processes that are being used from like all the information you guys gather, we're able to see a lot more than just building a strong front door at our house, right? You're able to know, hey, guess what? In the early morning hours, every single Wednesday morning, somebody is breaking in to other houses in this neighborhood through the laundry room window, right? And so that way, you can take action. So you keep the front door. We're not saying leave your door open, but on Wednesday early mornings to have a light on over there or to make sure that part of your house is doubly protected, right? And it allows people to take action with intelligent insight. I know that's a really, really simplistic analogy, and those in the cybersecurity field are probably like rolling their eyes. But I mean, our audience are a lot of non-technical business owners, right? And business leaders. And so they just want it kind of explained in plain terms.
Yeah, of course. So I'll explain it in a very, very simple language. So basically, the info-stealing malware is a type of malicious software that's designed to, number one, infiltrate the victim system and exfiltrate the sensitive information. And of course,
So let's back up there. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to. So the info stealer, it's designed to infiltrate it, meaning get into your system essentially undetected, and then exfiltrate it, which is that fancy word for steal it, right? Like to get it out of your system so that they can have a copy of it or have possession of it.
That's correct. And here I want to emphasize something about undetected. So yes, one of the main goals of the info stealer is to remain undetected. And if you ask me what is the best kind of info stealers, those remain undetected. But we also see the case when there is detection of the antivirus on the system that basically says to the person that, hey, this is some kind of malicious software, you should stop using that. And the person goes and disables the antivirus and runs this file again. Okay? So this is something very important to understand, that even you can have a few layers of security in your company or in your business or as a private person, you will still have this human factor that will say, I still want to double click on this file and I don't care about any kind of authentication. So this is one of the problems.
Oh, you're saying so then the social engineering part comes in, which overrides the technical precautions that they have.
Of course, and later when we're going to discuss how this malware is delivered to the end victim, you're going to see that the most of the delivery methods are combined with the social engineering techniques, and they basically leverage the human factor that will push the person to click on this file, because to initiate the info stealing malware attack, you need to do something as an end user. Okay, it doesn't know how to run by itself, but somebody needs to click on this file. So everything here is also combined with the social engineering techniques that basically tell you some kind of story that right here and right now you need to do something And then, of course, you will double click on something that you should not double click.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Everyone, did you ever want to ask us a question directly or communicate, give us feedback, make suggestions? Whatever it is, you can now do that direct. There's a link in the show notes right at the top where you can text us directly, come communicate with us right here in the podcast studio, or you can text the number 904-867-4466 and text the number 201-4652 and leave your message. That is 904-867-4466 or text the number 204-4652 and leave your message. We look forward to talking to you soon. That's exactly right. So let me ask you this on a personal level, personally, not your professional life, but personally. Why do you do this? Like, what is it about cybersecurity that gets you all fired up and makes you want to do this for your living? Did you always want to like fight crime when you were a kid? Did you want to be like Superman or Batman when you were a kid?
Actually, no. But I'm doing intelligence for almost 2 decades already. A little bit about my background. As I said, I'm doing different types of intelligence roles for almost.
You were with the Israeli Defense Forces and the Israeli National Security Agency, right?
That's correct. Yes, I started.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
that's good. That's some powerful stuff.
Thank you. Yes, I started like every Israeli citizen, my mandatory military service at age 18. Yep. So I spent some time in the Israeli Defense Forces, and then it was a very smooth transition to the National Security Agency. And at some point, I decided to make a switch from the real life intelligence to a cyber intelligence.
Yeah,
because I was
they're related in a lot of ways too, right? Like this, some of the processes are similar, right? It's about securing and digging in and finding the vulnerabilities and shoring those up, but it's done digitally.
That's correct. You described it in a very, very correct way. It's the same tactics and techniques, but not in a physical way, but in a digital way.
Yeah.
And this is the reason that in the cyber intelligence, we use the same keywords, okay, like OSINT, open source intelligence, web intelligence, human-based intelligence. But again, we do it the same, but in the digital.
That's amazing. And where is Hudson Rock? I see a lot of info on Hudson Rock, but I live in this world. So, but where is Hudson Rock based, and what type of organizations do they help support?
Any business, any industry, and almost in every country. This is how I describe the business activity of the Hudson Rock. Because the info stealer threat is relevant literally for everyone. Because the way how the info stealers spread, they can affect, again, any business in any industry and almost in any country.
Our info stealers, that's phenomenal. I want to talk about the info stealer for a second. So the info stealer malware, I don't need to get into the history of it or where it originally where it comes from, but is it launched part and parcel with other attacks? Meaning, do they use an info stealer along with their ransomware campaigns or their ransomware as a service campaign? Or is info stealer or various forms of it part of some of the other ransomware as a service groups like the Lockbits or the Black Cats back in the day and stuff like that?
This is a perfect question because info stealers, this is some kind of part of different kinds of cybercrime monetization chain. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's part of the whole supply chain of an attack, right?
Exactly. What info stealers basically allow to the cyber criminals, to the attackers, is some kind of initial entrance to the company or to some kind of account. And basically from this point, the attackers can decide what they are willing to do. So when they have access that is originated from the info stealer attack, they can decide, okay, I can deploy here ransomware, and probably from here it will go to the ransomware gang, and they know how to do this job, unfortunately, yeah? And then maybe you can decide, all right, this company is very interesting. Maybe I can conduct here cyber espionage. So I will don't do anything. I will just, in a quiet way,
right? Yeah. Just gather information, right? And I think that so many people don't realize that. They assume if I click a link or I get socially engineered, that my desktop computer at work or something is going to like blow up, like it's going to have all this stuff. And oftentimes when we see the postmortems done, the forensics, et cetera, after a breach, they were inside for a long time, just gathering up evidence, like information, creating backdoors, just doing things undetected for quite a while. And sometimes they don't even launch. They just gather up info and then leave, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's correct. And if we speak about a little bit next level, and not about the cyber criminals, about the APTs, like nation state actors, they also use data from the info stealers, but they're not willing to do immediate damage. For them, it's a little bit be more interesting to stay inside the company for a little bit more time, for even sometimes 1 year or 2 years. And you have different scenarios that, as I said, one of them will deploy the ransomware. One of them they will use for the cyber espionage. And let's talk about the business email compromised. Yeah, that's I can hijack somebody, like a high-level executive email, and then
impersonate them, and then the business email compromise is so effective, right? Because it looks like it's coming from your boss. They can create a thread jack, right? Where when you look at the thread and you get this email from your boss, you look down and it looks like your boss was talking to, maybe like this might be the president of the company who was talking to your boss, and your boss approved that you do this thing. And you see it all in the thread, even though it's all made up, right?
Exactly. And you said it looks like it's coming from your boss. It's actually coming from your boss, because there is no email, there is no spoof of any kind of, it's not a phishing that somebody created, lookalike domain.
From the outside coming in. It's actually a compromised account, and it is coming from their inbox.
And we
or their
see,
outbox.
Of course. And we see a lot of, use cases when you hijack this thread and it's used for some kind of financial fraud. Like you say, all right, now you need to transfer X amount of money to this bank account, and this bank account is not related. It is actually the threat actor's bank account.
Right.
So I will summarize this, the usage of the data from the info stealers. That is like the initial point, like a junction to a bunch of other different attacks. And we know for sure, and this is what we see as Hudson Rock on the dark web cybercrime forums, that threat actors continuously come and open threads and say, I'm looking for a specific kind of data. Can you look inside your info stealing repositories that other threat actors maintain? And they use it for different kind of attacks. There is something else that is a social media account that you can hijack. Social media, you don't need to damage a company, but you can hijack a Facebook account or maybe a YouTube channel and
gather up intel, right? I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, people that are just in regular sales and marketing and business roles can understand that, because when they're trying to gather up information on an ideal client that they want to decide to reach out to, right? Mm-hmm. They gather up information. They want to know all the things about these people, right? And that's exactly what the cyber criminal element will do as well.
Correct.
So the primary methods in which info stealers are deployed, meaning the ways that a cyber criminal group will use info stealers and attack regular people, right, at an organization. I can think there's several, aren't there? There's clearly phishing, business email compromise, taking over an account. They can do it through like ads too, right? Like when there's ads on Facebook or Instagram, people click on them because they look too good to be true and you want to read more. Can't there be malware on the back of those ads sometimes?
That's correct, and there's a few more of them, and I would like to elaborate about each one of them, because this is the part of the education that I'm trying to advocate to everybody, to all the audience, because I believe that in 2024, this is not enough to say, okay, you have a suspicious link, don't click on it. All right?
Right.
It was good like 10, 15 years ago. And then we saw the transition that the education went in the direction as, okay, don't click on this link because it will steal your password. But I believe that in 2024, you need to hear what I'm going to tell right now about the delivery methods of the info stealers to understand the whole picture, how it's done, because next time that you're going to see something that is too good to be true, or something that I will talk about this in a second, I hope that somewhere in your mind, you will remember my words and say, okay, I remember Leonie from Hudson Rock talking about this kind of delivery method. Maybe here there is an info stealer, and maybe I should think twice, or maybe I should contact my security team to understand if it's bad or it's legitimate. Yeah. So
walk us through those.
Yeah. So number one, as you mentioned, this is a phishing campaign. As easy as it sounds, the info stealing malware is delivered through a completely opportunistic way. They send it to, the threat actors send it to millions and 10 millions of different people. And this is the reason that this email can land also in small business with 10 people company, in the medium business with, for example, 300 people company, and some kind of large enterprise. And this is a typical phishing campaign that you won a lottery, that you have a free vacation, and you name it.
And we've talked about it on this show because we've gone on the dark web thousands of times, and there are platforms there that these groups use that are phenomenal. Like, they track the campaigns just like a Salesforce campaign that businesses would use. They track what messages, how many opens, how many clicks, all of that. I mean, it's remarkable the level of sophistication that they actually use.
I can even add more that what we see today, and again in 2024, every dark web service operates like a legitimate company, like a legitimate startup company.
Yep.
They have a product team, they have a customer success team, they have a sales team, they have a good product, they know what the competitors are doing. And it's not like single person trying to sell something shady. You got there completely like B2B service. And this is the same like in the phishing campaigns. If you want to order some kind of sophisticated phishing campaigns, you will have some fancy dashboard and you will see, okay, it was delivered to this kind of audience. This is the amount of clicks. And again, as you told, this is something like a business level operation. So phishing is number one. Number two is the pirated software, and something that is mostly you can find on the torrents. So next time that you're going to download something from the torrents, hopefully nobody is doing that, and you obey the rules and you buy the official software. Threat actors know that some popular software like Photoshop, like Premiere,
people want rather than spend $200, $300, $400, $500 on that software, people will get it for less. They'll get the pirated version, right?
That's correct.
But it's tied. The malware is tied to that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are proud to be sponsored by Kiteworks, a secure content platform for CMMC compliance. Kiteworks is FedRAMP Moderate authorized and helps accelerate your path to CMMC 2.0 compliance. Did you know Kiteworks puts defense contractors on the fastest path to meeting CMMC 2.0 requirements, leveraging the same zero trust framework guidance used for federal requirements? Kiteworks supports nearly 90% of the security requirements for CMMC 2.0 Level 3. This can drastically reduce the effort and costs associated with obtaining CMMC 2.0 authorization. What's really cool to us is Kiteworks has an ongoing bounty program and regular penetration testing to minimize vulnerabilities along with one-click appliance updates. Kiteworks provides unparalleled ease of use with its intuitive web UI, mobile apps, and even Outlook integration. This user-friendly experience avoids productivity disruptions during your CMMC 2.0 implementation. Accelerate your CMMC 2.0 compliance and address federal zero trust requirements with Kiteworks' universal, secure file sharing platform made for defense contractors. Visit kiteworks.com to get started. That's kiteworks.com to get started today.
Exactly. I'm saying here that yes, you are going to save maybe $200-$300, but you are going to trade the saving by compromising all the passwords that you have on your computer. All right. So I suggest to think twice if you want to do this some kind of trade of saving a little bit of money, but giving up all your passwords. Pirated software, and also we see info stealers a lot in the games. Mostly like some mods for the games, cracks for games, and something that, each one of us want this unlimited ammo in the game or unlimited health in the game or, jump through walls.
It's and like again, a cheat in a game. Like you can buy those cheats for the game that'll jailbreak a game.
Yes,
and it comes in through that.
That's correct. And just imagine yourself how many people today still play games like GTA or like a Fortnite, or I'm talking about
GTA, like Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite are really, really popular, right? Like they're in almost every household. Somebody is playing those games, and they want to get those cheats. They want to get all of the whatever, all of the skins, all of the guns, all of the stuff that's available, all those kind of add-ons.
That's correct. What is also interesting, at the moment, I'm doing some kind of sidestep, and at the moment of info stealer infection, the info stealers know how to take the screenshot of the operating system. So basically, you know what this person was doing at the moment of infection. And 8 out of 10 screenshot, somebody is playing Fortnite, somebody is playing GTA, somebody is playing some other games, and you see that one of the tabs on his browser, he was looking for, free skins for the Fortnite, So pirated software. Something else that is also relevant to software, this is actually the fake software. I mean, software that do not exist at all. So for example, you have, this is the real example, you have some kind of noise from your fan in your laptop, and you are looking for the solution, some kind of software that you can tweak your fan on the laptop to be more quiet. And you can find completely fake websites that will advertise to you completely fake software that most likely will solve your problem. And let's face it out, everyone has some kind of fan problem, or maybe everyone, sometimes his or her computer is a little bit slow. And you can go to completely fake website to download completely fake software. And the main purpose of all this story is to infect you with the stealer, right?
Right. Yep.
So this is
and once it's in the system, so let me ask you this. Once it's in system A, let's say, somebody's working from home, right? But somebody else at the house is going to the website to get some cheaper software, some pirated software, and they download it. They've now infected that machine, but they can escalate privileges and move through the Wi-Fi and stuff to other locations too, can't they?
No. Okay. Because the info stealers, they operate a little bit in a different way. Okay. They infect only one machine, and after the infection and they steal the data, they delete themselves. They are not looking to duplicate themselves through Wi-Fi or to spread themselves via email. It's not warm.
So it's not like other types of malware which grow and try and infect others, generally speaking.
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay. Interesting. So fake ads, pirated software, fake websites, things like that. Obviously, phishing, business email compromise. You were talking about social media accounts. Walk us through that.
Yeah, and social media accounts. Imagine yourself, you have a legitimate YouTube channel, and when I'm able to hijack somebody else's YouTube channel or maybe Facebook page or Instagram, I can simply change the links in the description. All right. And you know that a lot of YouTubers say, okay, click on the link in the description and you can get like 10% off of my product. So until the infection, the link was legitimate. After the infection, threat actors changed the link. And then, of course, the audience of this YouTube channel, they believe, okay, they trust on this person and they click on this link and in effect, they infect themselves with the stealer, right? This is a little bit more interesting way how to spread the malware, but a more easy way is simply hijack this account. So, for example, I have a business page of some kind of Facebook business page of some kind of business. I simply hijack this and I post, I'm creating a new post that says, send me 1 Bitcoin and in 10 seconds I will send you 2 Bitcoins. And again, even in 2024, people do that. Okay.
And people still fall for it, even in 2024. It's true.
Yeah. So this is like the 2 examples of how you can use hijack social media for a little bit more easy scams and quick win scams, and for a little bit more sophisticated, like a link change type of attack.
Now, we talk often about like ways to check whether you've been breached, and there's websites out there where you can check to see whether your email has been compromised in prior breaches. And people are always surprised whenever they check that because they're like, I didn't even know I was part of this other breach. It's a lot of times often because of data brokers and your data was sold and your account information was sold to somebody and then they got breached. But checking out sites like Have I Been Pwned is really good. Walk us through like what's the difference between some of the data from info stealers and other third-party malware approaches that are involved or that can be found through Have I Been Pwned?
Yeah. So I just want to explain to the audience that those are 2 completely use cases. And the common mistake that I always hear from the people that they say, you have those emails and passwords, but I know about them because I have like the notification for Have I Been Pwned and I'm tracking my data breaches. Have I Been Pwned is a great service, but it is a great service for the data breaches. Info stealers is a completely different story, and I will elaborate about this in a second. So third-party breach, some kind of stuff that you see on the Have I Been Pwned, this is the use case when you take your email, usually with the passwords, but sometimes it can be just only email and the private information, and you use it to register to some kind of third-party service. It can be a food delivery service, it can be some kind of travel agency, or, all the data breaches that we hear, on the news. And when there is a breach, usually it will contain your email address and hashed kind of a password. It could be like a mask password, like a long characters of encrypted password. Yeah. So for the threat actors, it's a little bit like another level of friction that they need to decrypt this password. And usually it will not work, or maybe the data will be a little bit old. And this is some kind of things that you find on the third-party data breaches. When we're talking about the info stealers, it basically turns your own computer to the entire separate data breach. And difference number 1, that all the passwords that are compromised in the info stealer attack will be always in a clear text version. So there is no such thing as encrypted passwords in the info stealer attack. And it means that the threat actor will get all your passwords, emails, and the URLs that are associated with those credentials as is in a clear text. Okay?
So that's significant. So I want the listeners to pay attention to that. So oftentimes in a data breach, they might get some information, but it's going to be hashed, meaning they're not going to, because the people that were holding your information maybe salted or peppered the data or hashed it, right? They tried to do some type of encryption or some type of hiding should the data be found out later. But with info stealers, they actually find the clear text, exactly what your password is. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct, 100%.
Wow. That's brutal.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
And I also wanted the audience to understand how it's actually done. The next time that you will create some kind of account by using your browser, it doesn't matter what kind of browser you are using because stealers know how to steal from all the browsers. You will get this notification if you're willing to save your credentials in password managers. And it's super convenient for everybody because you don't need to reuse the same password. I hope that nobody from your audience is doing that in 2024.
We talk about it all the time. People still reuse their passwords. I meet business leaders and business owners all the time who are like, hey, I took your security awareness. You really got me thinking about this. I've got a great password. I tested it. It is a really strong password. I use it on everything. And it's such a mistake. And we beat our heads against the wall trying to explain that you need to be using a different password on every single account and to manage those passwords accordingly. So what are you saying about info stealers in relation to password managers? Or you're talking about right now is when people keep their passwords in their browser, password managers.
So people keep the browser in the password manager keep the passwords inside the password manager in the browser. And a little bit on the technical layer, those passwords are stored locally on your computer in the encrypted way. So by now you can say, all right, happy days, this is encrypted, no problem. But the info stealers know how to decrypt this file. So this is the reason that even if you use a super complex password, 100 characters, and completely different passwords to different services, but they are stored inside your browser, the info stealers will know how to decrypt it. And they will get those passwords as is, exactly as they stored, exactly as you see them as a user. Okay, so this is the big difference between third-party breaches and the info stealers.
It seems so powerful from a threat actor perspective in the use of info stealers. Let me ask you this, just high level. When we hear about these data breaches and these ransomware attacks in the news, what percentage of those attacks involved info stealers as part of that? Would you agree? Would you estimate a majority of them?
I think the majority of them.
Yeah.
And there is evidence for that. I don't know the exact numbers, yes, but continuously I see that threat actors are targeting company X, please take a look inside your info stealer data if you have some kind of remote access to this company. And this is directly correlated to what we spoke right now together, because you have an employee of a company that stores his remote access inside the browser and mix maybe some kind of business and pleasure on the same computer. So he has his work computer that he downloads skins to the Fortnite. And InfoStealer managed to compromise not only his Facebook account, LinkedIn account, or maybe private Gmail account, but also take the remote access to his workplace. And then threat actors, what they're doing, they're digging inside this data and they're picking up those juicy remote accesses. And then we see the whole industry of selling remote access to the companies on the dark web forums, most on the Russian language forums. And even sometimes the threat actors mention that I'm selling access to company X, the origin of the access is from the info stealer. All right? So what is interesting here that actually there is even no any kind of hacking inside the company. the employee infected himself with the malware. Threat actor just found this access and selling.
And then they bought the access. And so these are essentially, so info stealers are also used by IABs, right? Initial access brokers, people that will get the access, not be part of like a Russian ransomware as a service gang necessarily, right? But they will just list it for sale on one of the marketplaces or in their own page on the dark web, make $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 and just sell the access that they got from the info stealer.
Yeah.
And that marketplace, that whole ecosystem is what's causing so many things to be so much worse.
There's also something else.
Let me ask you this before we move on, though. In terms of other password managers, some of the more popular ones, do they operate differently than the password managers that like Google has in Google Chrome browser?
Yes. So the password managers that are not storing the data inside the browser, they have a little bit different type of operation. I don't want to mention specific companies and specific solutions because I believe.
Of course not. Yeah, we're agnostic. So yeah, but everybody kind of knows the big names that are out there. A couple of them have had their own data breach concerns in the last year or two, but yeah, people are free to choose. But I'm just asking generally, those tend to be safer than the ones in the browser. Is that fair?
That's fair because
in terms of info stealers, I'm just talking within the context of info stealers.
Yes, because they operate slightly in a different way. But I want to put some kind of remark that, as you told, they have also some kind of different security incidents. And I just want to that everybody will understand there is no such thing as 100% security, right?
Of course. Unbelievable. What are some of the best practices that people can do to avoid being subject to being infected by an info stealer? I mean, clearly don't buy pirated software. Don't fall for, always verify should your boss send something, no matter what the thread says. Pay attention to phishing emails because everybody thinks that they can spot them, even though everybody keeps clicking on them. What else? What can you advise given what you see?
I think that everything starts and begins with proper cybersecurity education. Okay, so and again. And I
didn't even tell you to say that. That's exactly what I would have said, but I didn't even tell you to say that. That's good.
Yeah. And so if you know how to spot this threat, okay, or if you know how to be a little bit more aware about this threat on what can happen if, there is a big chance that you're going to avoid it. I also want to maybe touch a topic about the misconceptions about the info stealers because people say, okay, I'm aware about this threat, but I'm using Linux or I'm using Mac OS and I'm safe because there is no viruses for the Apple devices, And I think this will also be interesting to maybe touch the top 5 misconceptions about the info stealers.
Yeah, let's dispel some myths. So I think the myth that Apple devices don't have viruses, that's a myth. Like that's not factual, right? It just happens to be that of all the computers out there in the public on the planet, Apple has a very small percentage. So when they're developing malware and stuff, a lot of times they do it for Windows or other bases because it's more used in a lot of large enterprises and organizations. Is that fair?
That's correct. And until 2 years ago, the info stealers were targeting only Windows-based devices. But that's changed. And for the last 2 years, we see more and more info stealers that are targeting Mac OS or Apple devices.
Wow.
It's a little bit more complicated to run them. So like the victim need to pass through different types of stages, but fact, they exist. And today there are around maybe 4 or 5 of them. Okay. So, and we see more and more info stealers started to targeting the macOS devices. So this is the misconception number 1. If I have an Apple device, I'm 100% safe regarding the info stealer. And unfortunately, the answer here is no. Okay.
How about multi-factor authentication? What protection does multi-factor authentication provide? against info stealers?
And I waited for this question because this is something that I hear for a lot of people that say, all right, my account can be compromised, but I have multi-factor authentication. I will receive the SMS, I will receive some kind of notification in the app, and only I have this number and I have this app, so that's no problem, I'm secure, yeah? When the info stealer compromise your computer, they not only take your passwords and everything that is stored inside the browser, they also steal your cookies. And I want to explain here that the cookies...
Yeah, this is so interesting. Yeah. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so when you have a valid cookie, this is some kind of... This helps you not to log in again and again and again to sites that you're using. So this is the reason that the next time that you log into your Facebook account, you don't need to type in your password again and again, yeah? Because the Facebook see that they have valid cookie that they left on your computer, and this is the reason that every site today says, we are going to plant some cookies on your computer, please accept this, yeah? And if you have a valid cookie for the session that requires multi-factor authentication, the threat actors can just take this cookie, import to their system, and they have a valid session to somebody else's account, and they don't even need to pass through any kind of authentication process because they hijack this session.
Unbelievable. So they're able to log right back in as you after stealing those cookies.
Yes.
So, and this is one of the things we always try and educate people on is when you go to sites, right? Always reject all. Is there anything else somebody can do? Like never accept cookies, always reject all. When it says keep your credentials or keep me signed in to this account, even though it's convenient, people should avoid doing that. Is that a good idea?
This is a good idea. This is also a little bit good idea to clean your cookies time to time. But you mentioned the keyword, the convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And this brings me to another thing about the info stealers that people say, I don't want to deal with signing in all the time, and I don't want to deal with clean cookies all again. I'll keep everything as is because it will not happen to me. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I hear it a lot from different people that they say,
I hear it all the time, Leonard. Like I literally heard somebody from I'm not going to say what organization, but this was just a few weeks ago, and they were bright, intelligent, but they were like, look, we're located in a small town outside an urban area. We feel physically safe. We don't worry about this type of stuff. And I wanted to bang my head against the wall because I'm like, so then don't go online. As long as you don't go online, you might be safe. But I don't think they understand it can happen to them. It absolutely can. Who do you think it's happening to? Right? That's exactly, it's that kind of thought process is why you're being targeted. Right?
Yeah. And I'll jump back to the ransomware cases that sometimes you speak with the security managers on big complex factories, and they say, listen, I'm dealing here with the manufacturing really low tech steel pipes, okay, or tubes, or some kind of doors to the cars. Who wants to target me? And then somebody, and of course they don't want to invest in the cybersecurity education, and then they have the employee. Or maybe I even saw the case when there was one computer inside the factory that was used by around 75 different workers. One computer. So you imagine yourself what they do on this computer, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, somebody of them most likely will download some kind of malware, and then you have this ransomware incident. And because this factory has a really high revenue, now they face that they need to pay a really big ransom. And everything begins with the wrong mindset that people say, but I'm a really low tech company. I'm doing something very simple, like a plastic glasses, nobody cares about me. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not true. You have W-2s, you have intellectual property, you have customer lists. You have all that, like we talked about earlier. You've been developing your own open source intelligence on all the customers you want to go after, right? And you have all this data and all this information on those people. They want that. You have banking instructions. You have wiring instructions. You have invoicing. There's a ton of value even in a small business.
Yes. So we covered right now the Apple devices that they are also targeted by the InfoSteers developers, about the multi-factor authentication and the cookies case, and about the mindset. I have two more that I'm willing to share with the audience.
Absolutely.
And the next one is going to be the antivirus. Antivirus protection. We slightly talked about it in the beginning of our talk, but there's a lot of misconceptions that people say, all right, but I have this antivirus solution. I paid my subscription. I'm safe, okay? Or maybe I'm using some kind of, corporate security solution. And again, I paid $350,000 a year for the subscription. Well, I must be safe for this money that I paid. But in fact, stealers, again, sometimes they know how to bypass those antiviruses. And this is completely different story. This is a very technical and complex story how they do it, yeah? But
yes,
they can bypass antiviruses. And the second case, that again, it involves the human factor, you can have a detection, but you have this person that simply goes and disables the antivirus and run this crack or fake Photoshop or something else again,
right.
And nobody will save him. Yeah. And the last one is the misconception about the long and complex passwords. Yeah. So people say, and we talked about this also a little bit, I know that I'm supposed not to reuse the same password. This is a good start. But they use a password manager, they generate completely complex password, and they feel safe because every password is different and every password is complex. But as I mentioned, because the info stealer knows how to steal this in a clear text, in a plain text, it doesn't matter if you use a complex password with 10 characters, 50 characters, or 150 characters. It will still compromised and delivered to the hacker in the clear text. So this is my overview of some kind of misconceptions, of some kind of things
that's really useful. But in terms of passwords and things, I mean, really it gets down to raising your own awareness, being educated, right? Being aware of this stuff, and then not doing those practices of going for the cheaper software, going for the pirated version, right? Going to rogue websites, believing an email without independently verifying. It goes into those recommendations, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think the best way that everyone that will take from this interview, from this podcast, they will know how to spot those attacks. I mean, that they will know the delivery methods. And of course, you need to be always aware that those delivery methods, they're relevant for September 2024. Threat actors, they always trying to find a new and more creative way how to deliver this malware. But if you know how it will be delivered to you, at least you will have some tips how to spot it and hopefully to prevent the infection.
Absolutely. And then what does Hudson Rock? Hudson Rock has some tools available, right?
That's correct.
Tell us about those.
That's correct. First of all, on our website, hudsonrock.com, we have 100% completely free tools that are open for everybody, also for the private people and also for the businesses. And in a matter of seconds, you will be able to understand and see your exposure in the InfoStealer attack. Okay? Today,
that's really good. I'll put a link to that in the show notes so that people can go to that. And the link I'll put in the show notes will not be infected by an info stealer.
Yeah. So imagine those tools like have I been pwned but for the InfoStealer attack. Okay.
Right. Yep.
So this is number one. And I invite everybody here, go and check your exposure. If you're a business, you will be able also to understand what is the level of your exposure, how many compromised employees, how many compromised third-party services that you have, how many users that are using your platform were affected by this tier. So we show this in a very, very nice way that you will be able to understand exactly your exposure, and not by saying like, yeah, your domain was in the InfoStealers, good luck. So this is number one, 100% free. It will stay free, and we invite everybody to check us out.
So that's really good. And what I like about Hudson Rock is it's not like you have to go through all these hoops to get it, and then you're going to try and sell them a bunch of stuff in order to get the data. No, it's like you're doing it as a public service, which is, to me, the right thing to do.
I even can say more. At the moment that you see that you have exposure, and right now I'm talking about the businesses, yes?
Right, yes.
You can reach out to us, and we have an ethical disclosure policy. We will be able to give your own data that you can investigate it in-house and, to do some kind of proper mitigation services. Of course, we have a team that will be happy to jump on a call with you, explain you about the disinfection, basically what happened there, how you can solve this. And also here, 100% free.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I mean, Leonard, that's why I'm so impressed with what Hudson Rock does. Like doing that service is so needed today, because so often people just get sold. One of the problems I have with the cybersecurity industry is when you go to these conventions, right? You go to the Black Hats and some of these. There's all these companies that are like, if you buy our product, you will be secure. And they make these really, really bold claims. And I'm like, I think we're as an industry, we've been over promising and under delivering. Right. And I think there needs to be more public service, more just educating people, no strings attached, like, letting them see the risks, like Hudson Rock will show them, no strings attached, just doing that. Because to me, then you build credibility, and now they trust you, and now they want to do business with you because they know you weren't being sleazy about it, right? I think it's awesome. I think the way you guys handle things is great.
The last one, we have the infostealers.com website. This is our second website, and this is full of different kind of completely public research that we aggregate also from other companies, and we publish really cool blogs by ourselves. We have
excellent.
We have a really talented research team that is led by our CTO and the co-founder, Alon. And we have a lot of also educational data there. Again, 100% free. Everybody is welcome to check. Infostealers.com.
Yeah. Infostealers.com?
As easy as it sounds, yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty easy. So that's good. I will link that also in the show notes. Leonard, thank you so much. Before I let you go, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like here in America, we don't have that. When you turn 18, you have to do 2 years in the military. When I was that age and I was in school, a lot of my friends were from European countries and other countries, and they all had to go back and go serve. And I always thought it would have been a good thing for a lot of Americans to have that. But that's what really got you into serving and protecting physically, and then you migrated from there into the digital world. But what did you want to be when you were a kid? What did you like? You never knew you were going to wind up here, did you?
That's correct. And that's correct. Even when the day that I went to the military, I even didn't know what I'm going to do. I just show up.
Yeah, I mean that's normal, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always those kids that knew I want to be a doctor, even when they're young. I'm like, how do you know that? I wanted to be like a rock star or something else when I was a kid, right? Like I had no idea what I was going to do.
What I know for sure that I always was passionate about some unique and cool things. All right.
Yeah.
So this is the reason that I ended up in the dark web research, because this is something that is pretty.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I find it. I think it's fascinating.
This is unique, and this is something that is super interesting. Is something that is not a lot of people are doing, and a little bit easy for me because everything that is in Russian, I speak Russian at the native level. So
you're able to even understand it and translate it. That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So and cool. I don't have any issues with the communicating with them. Speaking about the intelligence, because a lot of work there. There's what we call the virtual human, the human intelligence, that you do undercover engagements with them.
Yep.
And Russian language is very...
and there's a lot of dialects. There's a lot of different dialects too.
You can spot immediately if somebody is using Google Translate, yes or no.
Yes, exactly. That's great. So
I think I was always passionate about this unique things, and hopefully I will continue my career in all things that are a little bit slightly different than others.
That's awesome. Well, Leonard Rosenberg, thank you so much, sir. Very, very grateful. And we will have links to the information that we discussed in the show notes. And thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Thank you,
Great
my
podcast.
friend. Okay.
Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that wraps this up. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our episode. The next one is coming right up. We appreciate you making this an award-winning podcast and downloading on Apple and Spotify and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and we thank you for watching.